All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back to the channel. Now we're going to talk about Khamzat Chimaev in this particular video. No drama, no nothing. We're going to evaluate a very critical decision that he made relating to his career and whether or not he made the correct one, okay? And obviously, if you read the title, we're talking about his weight class, right? He is a fighter that can fight in either middleweight or welterweight, and he chose welterweight. I am going to make the contention that he chose the wrong weight class. I realize he's undefeated. I understand that. But I think I can make a pretty solid argument that that he's more likely to have longer term success at 185 than 170. Anyway, we'll talk about it. But if you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. I am at 65,000 subscribers, you guys. We made it, and I owe that to you guys, and I appreciate that very, very much. If you guys don't mind liking the video, if you like it, I mean, that, like I said, when people like the video, it makes a huge difference. I didn't realize how big of a difference it made until I asked specifically for you guys to do it on a video a couple ago, and you guys overwhelmingly responded, which I really genuinely appreciate. Like, I really do. I work my fucking balls off on this channel, and so, you know, any kind of, as much, just like, okay, yeah, I'll tap like that matters to me, so I appreciate it very much. But anyway, it's not here or there. Thank you guys. So, okay, so let me tell you what prompted this this line of this whole thing, right? Was last night, I'm boozing, it's 4th of July, I'm having a good time, and I somehow just stumbled onto my YouTube, just kind of like scrolling through if I respond to a comment, it generally means that I open the analytics app and one of the most recent comments is one of those ones. And, every once in a while I'll scroll them, but anyway. But so I just randomly looked at this comment and it was a really sharp take. And I'm embarrassed. I can't remember the person's name who did it because I meant to screenshot it because I was going to actually talk about them specifically on this video. And I can't remember who it was, but the person who commented it is obviously going to know it's them when I say this. But basically their take was, it had to do with Alex Pereira and it had to do with Israel Adesanya. He was basically, in a nutshell, talking about how Israel Adesanya runs through the middleweight division, and then you have Alex Pereira, whatever. And there's basically he's going to have a long run until there's a really, really vicious wrestler that gets into that division. And it was all about how styles make fights and matchups make the fights and how it all comes down to dominant skill sets. And I'm not doing it justice. Great comment though. And I responded, really sharp take. And then I started talking about Khamzat. And afterwards, I couldn't stop thinking about it too. Cause once I got on the wavelength of I think Khamzat wins the title at 85. I think Khamzat wins the title at 85. I don't think he wins right now against, I don't think he beats Kamaru, and I do think he beats Izzy. And then so I started looking down the welterweight rankings and I started looking down the middleweight rankings, and I was like, man, with stylistic matchups, welterweight is a fucking nightmare. Not a nightmare. I mean, Khamzat's good enough that he can get through whoever if he needs to, but here's the whole thing. This is what I kept spitting myself up about afterwards, was there's now this kind of idea that everyone needs to be great at everything. Everyone needs to be, you need to be vicious at jiu-jitsu. You need to have incredible stand-up. You need to be you need to learn to wrestle. You need to right? And these really well-rounded fighters are supposedly, the guys that are going to be the most successful. But if you look at history, that's not true. That's just not true. Historically, you just look at who the dominant guys have been. That's just not accurate. I'm not saying they weren't well-rounded, but I think about what well-rounded means differently now. Since hanging out with Steve and, Steve Hargett and Victor Hugo, which, by the way, their new school is open. Okay. Victor Hugo, multi-time #1 fighter in the world in jiu-jitsu, he's fucking enormous. And Steve Hargett, #1 pound for pound, no-gi fighter in the world also. It's their school. It just opened in Lake Travis, Six Blades Lake Six Blades, Lake Travis. I go there all the time. I'm going to be there all the time, dude. I'm going to be there all the fucking time. My daughter will be there all the time. Now, if you're a fucking creep, I'll have a gun on me all the time too. But if you want to come roll, come hang out, dude. Come join Six Blades in Lake Travis. It's a blast, dude. I learned so much from those guys, man. Like, I learned more from those guys in a class than I would in a week. Like, one class there, I learned more than I would in a week at previous schools. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But here's the deal. So when I watch fights with Steve especially, he's just like, he finds MMA bordering on unwatchable because he's like, I can't, their jiu-jitsu so bad. Like, it's like, you know, because, again, he's a specialist. Like, as good as it gets, specialist. And so, like, I mean, not everyone, because every once in a while he'll go like, that guy's jiu-jitsu is very, very good. And that means that guy's jiu-jitsu is very, very good. But like, tons of people are like, not gonna be that good compared to like me, but like not good compared to a world champion in jiu-jitsu who's watching them, right? And so you think about that, and then you think about who like the dominant champions have been, and it's like, all right, just take heavyweight out of it because there's just such an enormous like kind of sledgehammer knockout possibility. And you go like, I like to think about this in like the, you know, kind of like middleweight, welterweight, lightweight, I think are like kind of the best, you know, places to look there. And lightweight's interesting because Charles Oliveira is very well-rounded. He's probably the most well-rounded guy, you know, in a top spot right now. That said, his stand-up's good. It's not exceptional. And I realize like people might want to push back on that, but it's not even debatable, dude. Like it's honestly not even debatable. And you want to know why? Because he's gotten rocked in the first round of all of his fights. He's come back and won because his jiu-jitsu is so good and his striking is also very dangerous. He's got very dangerous striking, but it's not exceptional. Otherwise, he wouldn't be getting rocked in the first round for the last 3 fights. Rocked, not just like hit, rocked in the first round. Okay? How many times did Anderson Silva get rocked in the first round? How many times did Israel Adesanya get rocked in the first round in a UFC fight? Never and never. Okay? Those are specialists. Those are striking specialists. Charles Oliveira is a jiu-jitsu specialist. You know, so same thing. You flip it around. Like, okay, well, you know, Izzy got dominated on the ground and, you know, whatever. And it's like, how many times have you seen Charles Oliveira dominated on the ground? None. Never. Fucking never. Correct. Because he's a specialist. He is like, you know, he's one of these rare guys where Steve would be like, that guy has exceptional jiu-jitsu. And so like, you know, it just lends more, I don't know, more weight to the fact that like what actually gets people into a champion mode is the right combination of skills with one major specialty. You know, something where they have a tremendous advantage over their opponent. That's what it really is. It's about advantage over your opponent. Like, where is your specialty? And does it match a weakness on the other side? You know, like you're looking for where it's not a stalemate. Like think about Colby and Kamaru Usman, the times that they fought. Those guys are wrestlers, dude. You know, now obviously they're excellent strikers too, but like their massive advantage over guys is the grappling. Look at how Colby fought Masvidal. Look at how Kamaru fought Masvidal. Look at how Kamaru fought. I mean, Kamaru's taking people down all the time. The only fights where he has not gone to take someone down, Gilbert Burns. And why? Why not Gilbert Burns? Because Gilbert Burns like Charles Oliveira on the ground. Like you do not want to be in his fucking guard, man. And then against Colby, because Colby is also an exceptional wrestler. So they're a stalemate. And so they end up fighting standing up. And when I predicted what was going to happen in Khamzat versus Burns, I said that. I was like, because their strengths match up exactly, you might end up with a striking match. And how the hell are we supposed to know what Khamzat's got? We've seen him throw one punch because prior to that, you'd seen him knock out Mershard and that's it. You know, where's the advantage? Where is the exceptional data point? And does that match up with a weakness? That's what it all comes down to, right? And then do you have supporting skills that make it to where you're most likely to be in your specialty? If you're a stand-up fighter, how's your takedown defense? How's your scrambling? How hard are you to hold down? How's your submission defense? Are you going to be able to get back to your feet if you're a specialist at striking? Because, like, look at Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland is dangerous on his feet. I've said this forever. Like, I thought at 85, he was a scary fucking matchup for Izzy. I think he's a scary matchup for anybody that in the striking because he's so long and he's got nuclear power. So, like, and he's super aggressive. But he ended up fighting guys who were wrestlers. And how did that go? Not very well. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And he got just dominated on the ground. I'm a huge Kevin Holland fan, obviously. Huge Kevin Holland fan. But it's about, again, so the point that I'm making is that. So you go to, let's just go to welterweight, okay? And so the point that I'm making here is that Khamzat's tremendous advantage is in grappling, is in, wrestling specifically, okay? Look at welterweight. Who does he have? Like, if you're looking for guys who are not great wrestlers, I mean, you got Kamaru Usman as a champion, Colby Covington second, okay? Boom, like right out of the gate. The top two guys are tremendous grapplers, where your specialty matches their specialty. That's not good. That's not good for you. You don't want that. That's the opposite of what you want. And with Kamaru Usman, the reason why everyone's picking Kamaru is because people who understand what they're looking at are like, okay, well, if Gilbert Burns nullified Khamzat's grappling, then that's probably what would happen with Kamaru. And so what's the striking look like? It's like, Jesus, man. Like, Kamaru, dangerous, straight punches down the middle. Like, Gilbert and Khamzat battled it out because they both kind of have like a more aggressive, wild, like looping strike style. Kamaru's going to fucking pipe that right down the cock. So let's get back to it. God, I'm going to be so pissed if I forget to edit that. Anyway, so like you got Kamaru Usman, Colby. Then you got Leon, right? Now, Leon, I don't know. I mean, Khamzat, I would pick Khamzat by grappling over Leon. Then you got Khamzat. Then you got Gilbert Burns, and we saw what that happens there, okay? So the main point is the top two guys match up very well against Khamzat, right? You go to middleweight now, right? And we know Khamzat's skill set is all day transferable at 185. We watched him do an exhibition grappling match against Jack Hermanson. That's supposed to be an incredible grappler. He is an incredible grappler. And Khamzat ragdolled him. Fucking ragdolled him. Like not close. Not a close contest at all. Jack Hermanson is ranked number 8. Okay? So let's go from number 9. Okay, at middleweight. Who's going to beat Khamzat in this division? Okay, like we talked about, specialists. Whose specialty is going to match up well against Khamzat's grappling, right? Like, just forget about the Gilbert Burns fight because Gilbert Burns, again, is tremendous on the ground, especially from his back. He is a huge threat to a wrestler. Both Kamaru and Khamzat didn't even fuck with him on the ground, okay? Now, who out of these top 9 is going to match up well with Khamzat? Okay, Darren Till? Mm-mm. Jack Hermanson? We already know that. Sean Strickland? Alex Pereira? Okay, Paulo Costa? I don't know. I mean, I've never seen him get taken down really, but like Derek Brunson? I just like Khamzat. Even if Brunson is able to kind of stuff takedowns, which I'm not confident that he would against Khamzat, I like Khamzat in the stand-up fight right there. Marvin Vettori is the toughest one. That's the toughest matchup for him right there. Because if Marvin can keep it standing, that's no good for Khamzat. That's no good. But Khamzat is probably on a different level in terms of grappling. And then you got Cannonier, Whitaker, Izzy. Okay? Now, which stylistically does Khamzat match up better against? Izzy, Robert Whitaker, Cannonier? Or Kamaru and Colby? I mean, and Gilbert Burns. I mean, got through Gilbert Burns barely. And so in my opinion, he chose the wrong weight class. I mean, it's common sense. Like, I mean, well, like standard kind of default, you'd be like, well, if we're only going to pick one division, let's go to the division that you have the biggest advantage in. And so you're probably going to go to the lighter weight, right? You think lighter weight, you think easier division. And I honestly, I would pick Khamzat over any of these guys at middleweight because of the grappling advantage. And at welterweight, I for sure would pick Kamaru over Khamzat. Anyway, that's what I got. So subscribe to the channel, ring the bell. Peace.